Right, ninjas, this is why most men are stuck and how to become unstuck. So I'm going to break this down into 4 steps. So the first thing that's keeping you stuck is your priorities and what you're prioritizing. Goes without saying, if you want to achieve something, you need to prioritize the tasks that are going to get you to achieve that goal. You need to understand that time is your most valuable asset. So you need to allocate your time appropriately. Most people, they're doing the tasks they have to do, and then everyone has some amount of spare time. The time can vary person to person, but most people are allocating these tasks to social events, mainly. Social events and consuming media, watching movies, leisure activities. If you want to change your life, if you want to achieve something that's going to require time, effort, and it's going to take a long time, most likely, you need to allocate your spare time more effectively. And you need to prioritize what's going to get you towards where you're trying to go over social gatherings and things like that. But most people struggle to do that because they get FOMO. They have a fear of missing out. They feel like they need to go out, they need to be seen, they need to be validated, they need to be recognized. Truth is, those social events aren't going anywhere. You might, most of the time, people are talking about the same topics. You're repeating the same stories, you're hearing the same stories from the same people. You know, these people, these places, you know, bars and all this stuff. These things are always going to be there, and you don't need to go there every single time. Okay, so a good ratio, I would say, is, you know, have a social outing once a month. That's what I've been doing this year. Right, I've only been going out socially really once per month. And you prioritizing your purpose, your goal, is going to fulfill you far more as a man. I can only really speak for blokes. Turns out I'm a bloke. So I feel like this will fulfill you far more when you wake up with purpose. You're not just a plastic bag drifting through the wind, hoping to start again. I think those are the Katy Perry words. If you want to learn more about getting lean, staying lean, getting in the best shape of your life from home, want to join a community where you can post check-ins, eventually, once the community is at a decent size, you'll be able to have access to me, ask me questions on a live 1-hour call every week. So yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, check out the link below, and maybe I'll see you inside. Okay, next step, in order to be able to do what I outlined earlier, you need to be able to endure isolation. So most people can't get step 1 right because FOMO, all this thing, fear of missing out. I've already outlined this. So you need to build the habit of spending time alone with your own thoughts. This will be uncomfortable at first. Most people, if they're not out in a social setting, they're at home watching movies, watching news, scrolling social media, just consuming media. You know, none of your thoughts you're having are actually from within. Everything is from the external, right? You need periods of time to be bored, right? This is where creativity comes from. It comes from boredom. Boredom is good for you. And it's hard to be bored. It's very easy to get the phone out to scroll, but it's just a distraction. It's stopping you from understanding what you really should be doing. And only you can discover that when you spend enough time alone with having an inner dialogue with yourself. Because the most important relationship is the one you have with yourself. And the good thing about this is not only will you be more productive, you'll be more fulfilled when you can be alone and can go through periods of not being seen by your friends or your family or people you know, and being able to just knuckle down and do the work. You will be emotionally independent and sovereign. And as a nice byproduct of that is people naturally want to be around you. People like People don't like neediness. They don't like people who are seeking from others. They like people who are sovereign, who have their own, who know who they are, have their own thoughts. And you'll only discover those things. You'll only really discover what your real thoughts are, who you really are, through isolation. And once you get into the habit of going through periods of isolation, you'll begin to value them and you'll miss them in a way. You'll see how effective you can be when you can spend time alone. And this is when you become dangerously effective, when you look forward to having this spare time to put towards what you're trying to do, when you're chasing the bag, you're chasing the carrot on the stick. Another reason why you become so effective is because you disregard the need for validation for your work, right? Whatever it is you're trying to work towards, you don't need to explain it to people. You don't need to share your progress with people. This will only create friction, and this will only really, it gives people an opportunity to shoot you down. If you want to explain what you're trying to achieve to people, most people aren't going to understand what it is you're trying to do for the most part. And you explaining it to them or telling them your progress, not only does that hold you back, because that gives you a false sense of accomplishment if you just talk about your goals to people. But again, like I said, it will give people an opportunity to shoot you down, and they'll want to soften you, right? They'll want to say, oh, you should come out more. Why don't you come out more? You're always, you're working too hard, or blah, 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 blah. They want to soften you. They want to bring you back to baseline. Most people are at this baseline life. If you want to rise above that, you need to disregard the need to listen to these people or explain anything to these people. I'm not saying you're not above anyone, right? But you just need to disregard the need for validation, essentially. Next step is your life structure. You need to have a plan of action, day to day, week to week, month to month. Like I said before, everyone has the time they need to allocate towards just general tasks like work, family, food shopping, etc., just to live their lives. But you need to plan for your off time, okay? Plan and allocate towards what's going to get you where you're trying to go. For example, Mondays are my day off every week. So I'm doing a big food drop, I'm meal prepping for the week. Like I'm doing now, I'm recording a long form video and I'll record a short form, and I've scripted earlier, so I'm making the rest of the week easier for myself by using this spare time effectively. And the last thing is discipline, okay? None of these other steps are going to be possible to implement if you don't have discipline. You need to think discipline. A lot of people look at discipline like it's a bad thing. It's almost counterintuitive. Being able to have discipline and control yourself and restrict yourself. Yes, it's weird because you're not allowing yourself the freedom to enjoy everything. But at the same time, discipline is your route to freedom, okay? So it's like, it's a paradox in a way. And I think of discipline like your sword, like a gladiator sharpens his blade, okay? You won't escape the Colosseum if you don't maintain your blade.
Presented me with
discipline.
Just a wooden sword, a symbol of your freedom. He touched me on the shoulder and I was free.
You ask me what I want. I too want to stand in front of the Emperor, as you did.
Then listen to me. Learn from me. I wasn't the best because I killed quickly. I was the best because the crowd loved me. Win the crowd, and you'll win your freedom.
I will win the crowd. I will give them something they've never seen before.
You don't keep it sharp, you'll never escape the slavery. Okay? Keep your discipline sharp and you will achieve your freedom, your goal. Yeah? So ways you can sharpen this blade. I've found fasting is amazing for sharpening the mind, delaying gratification, repressing your animal need for food, if you can sit with hunger and over time increase the period of time you can sit with hunger, you'll sharpen that blade of discipline. And then other things like just reducing your consumption in general, right? Social media, TV, movies, all this, Xbox games, etc. You're just reducing instant gratification, instant pleasure. Okay, you need to be a man or a person who, for the most part, only enjoys hard-earned dopamine. This is how you're supposed to be living, and the modern world has flipped that on its head and made cheap dopamine so accessible. But most people in this modern era are unhappy, and that's for a reason. And I'll finish this off by saying a quote from Epictetus: "No man is free who is not a master of himself."